Alright, looks like we are live now. Welcome everyone. It's the Gaytriarchy on Spacepan's channel because Prince can't upload right now because he was so bad. He was a naughty, naughty boy, and Susan is unhappy with him. So we're gonna do it over here because I'm so well behaved, and my channel is totally innocent and has absolutely nothing on it that anyone would ever take issue with. And this is a special installment of Gaytriarchy because we're doing that funny thing I do on my channel where everybody in the voice chat on my Discord server is just part of the party. So if you want to hop on, I left the link in the description. Everybody want to say hi?
Hi.
All right.
Hello.
Also, I went through and I counted up all the Gaytriarchies we've had, and this is number 26. So if anybody was keeping count, now we have a number, we have a benchmark. This is Gaytriarchy number 26. There have been 25 so far, and yeah, it was kind of fun to review through them just as I was counting them up. We've had some pretty interesting guests, a pretty nice collection of people. And Ashley in the chat was
Technically,
actually has
this
been
is
on
my
here
first
before.
Gaytriarch.
And I was just gonna say you're on here for the first time, so welcome,
Welcome.
welcome, welcome.
Hello.
So normally, I guess we talk about the guest and feature the guest. I did also find a bunch of news articles. So Prince, what do you think we should do?
Let's talk about the guests a little bit.
All right. How about Honks? Would you like to introduce yourself for a little bit?
Well,
We're just gonna put you on the spot.
stage fright. Stage fright. Okay. Fucking. Hi, I'm Honks, and I'm basically Spacepan's little clone, I suppose. I'm an MRA, and I'm on his live streams a lot. I'm gay. That's a personality trait. Yeah.
You sound
Fucking-
not completely dissimilar to him too.
Yeah, I know, but I guess I'm more angsty and young, I suppose. I don't know. Fucking. I've never done this before. Wow. Okay, so yeah, I basically just talk about men's issues a lot on Spacepan's channel. Give my two takes, and I don't really have a lot to say. I'm just gotta be humble about it.
How old are you?
I am 20.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember you had messaged me and you said that you liked a lot of my videos, and I thought that was very nice. Just because my channel's still so humble. But I suppose you had probably found me through Prince of Queens, which I think is how most people find my channel. Like it's probably like at least like well over 50% are from Prince of Queens, and then the rest is kind of just men's rights, MGTOW, and ANCAP people kind of hobbled together.
Yeah, it's not Spacepan. Sorry, Prince of Queens actually kind of got me into the MRA stuff a lot. That I will give to Prince of Queens.
I'm a converter.
A converter.
I saved you.
Let's see. Oh, I just realized I should probably find this YouTube link and like post it on Twitter. It's kind of tricky. I haven't found a way to like when I'm scheduling and setting things up, like to do the scheduling in a way that works. It seems like it always creates a new event, but it's a learning experience. But if you're looking at it on YouTube, I found us a nice colorful background that's all rainbow and super gay. And I made a proper thumbnail. I don't always make a thumbnail, so we have that. So Prince, so what had happened was first you had a strike because I assume it's because of the thumbnail of your most recent video. But then you said that now they're going through and flagging stuff in like super old videos you have.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know exactly who it was who's doing it, but I got a strike on my video, which everybody gay at least has said is a really, really good video. I think that's pretty good. Which is called Antifa is Anti-Gay. And the picture I paint in the video, it's like over 20 minutes long. It's pretty incontrovertible that Antifa is anti-gay if you actually watch it. And the funny thing is, what I think it was for, because I appealed it and it actually went through, there was a guy from a Slate video about gay male misogyny, and he was like, yeah, you probably recently heard the controversy about Rose McGowan, who said that gay men are even more misogynistic than straight men, and then also said that, and then also Azealia Banks, who said she wants to try to change the definition of the word faggot, or in quotes, to change the F word that rhymes with maggot to mean a misogynist. And so I showed that clip just as an example of feminists being anti-gay. And I think that's what did it, because when I appealed it, I said, I think that they probably were using, a video that I quoted from Slate as the evidence of me saying hate speech, and then they reinstated it. However, they flagged 2 more videos, really, really old ones, like back when it's not like I said anything anti-gay, like I did say the F word in one of them. And the other one, I don't even know what it was. like I was imitating the types of things people say, and it was really obvious that I was putting on a different voice for it, but like the hate speech was people that I was imitating anti-white people and stuff. And so I think it was just someone who really has it out for me, who reported a video, saw that it worked, and then decided, okay, I'm gonna try to get rid of his entire channel or whatever.
I'm gonna end this man's whole career.
Yeah, it sounds like they waited until you said something technically against the terms of service of YouTube, and then they just, pounced.
Yeah, and so, I used a clip of somebody else who was a feminist saying something against the terms of service, but it's just so dumb. Like, it's so, and I was thinking, it's not, I know exactly how YouTube should solve its dilemma if they wanted to pretend to be fair, you know what I mean? How they could do it. First of all, restore the old algorithm, which wouldn't be all that hard. It was basically set up around it was a meritocracy, whoever gets the most views gets recommended, blah, 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 right? Then the other thing that you would do is you would make clearly defined rules, which is what they don't want to do. They're never going to want to do that. And the reason why, and because I've been in so many authoritarian leftist communities that like banning people. It's a very common thing, right? And they don't ever tell you what are the rules, because they like just sort of having it nebulous so that they can get mad at whoever, like, so that they can redefine them at any moment, or you know what I mean? And then retroactively enforce them. It's like, oh, this video that you uploaded 3 years ago, we decided now that you can't say that anymore. So there's that. And then, but you make the clearly defined statement. And then, when you get a hate speech strike, they will have to tell you when and where and why it's hate speech. And then also, you can appeal it and if you choose to. And if people are repeatedly reporting videos that don't end up having hate speech in them, they will have their ability to report disabled eventually, so that there could be some accountability on the other end. And I really feel like if they actually just did that, it would sort of solve how broken YouTube is, but they're not going to do that. But I'm going to, the first video that I make when I can upload, I guess at this point, if you get so the first strike is a warning, nothing happens to your channel. Second strike you get a week-long ban from uploading, and then also a 3-month ban from live streaming. So when that's up, I'm gonna make a video about you can imagine what I'm going to say. What am I going to say? Oh, yeah, the rules, like what it should be and how you would solve the whole dilemma. And, you know, it would be great if somehow we could spread that video far and wide, because I don't think there's anything I'm not thinking of. Like, I think it would be pretty simple. It would pretty well cover it. And that would be that. But, you know, they don't want to tell, they want to be able to get rid of people that they don't like at any moment for essentially any reason. And they want to be able to unfairly boost corporate and YouTube sponsored content in the algorithm. You know, so like it's all CNN or ContraPoints is what shows up, because CNN pays them money to put them on top. They pay ContraPoints to lie all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How dare you? How dare you say that about the Andy Warhol of YouTube?
Is that what they said? Andy Warhol?
That's what they. I'm pretty sure that's what they called.
Are you thinking Oscar Wilde?
Oh, you're right. They said Oscar Wilde. Sorry, all these homosexual artists are just they're a blur to me. That was joking. Is there an audio problem?
No, that was just me. Hold on.
Ashley, did you have something to say? I think I cut you off on accident.
I don't think you did, but actually, being called the Oscar Wilde of YouTube, it's interesting that I mean, I guess most people hearing that, they just think, oh, Oscar Wilde was a famous figure in literature. They don't actually know a whole lot about him. It's not necessarily a compliment. I mean, I definitely my feelings about Oscar Wilde are very complex. Let's put it that way. I don't think he was really a serious artist until he suffered. So yeah. And ContraPoints, did you say it's what they call ContraPoints?
Yeah, they called ContraPoints the Oscar Wilde of YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, she definitely doesn't seem that serious.
I want to call it.
It was in an article on The Verge, which is one of the sites. I think The Verge is owned by, what's the parent company? Vox. Vox is owned by NBC, or at least got like a $200 million grant from them, or $200 million investment. And then YouTube sponsors, I think YouTube has been caught giving, or it's been reported upon that they give money to Vox, and they do sponsor quote unquote educational channels. Like they gave $20 million that somehow that was released. I mean, it's not unlikely that they've given out more. And so Verge is basically just in bed with all those people. And so it's basically just like, look how awesome us and our friends are. We're so cool.
Well, ContraPoints has been around for years, but have you noticed that it's only this year that this narrative about how these individuals popping up saying things basically to the effect of ContraPoints saved me from the right wing. It's only been this year.
Yeah, they call them the walk backers.
Yeah.
I remember when Contra was basically just a twink on YouTube, and they were doing the trans.
Yeah, back when Contra was just kind of playing dress up. It was just fancy dress up.
Well, they had a channel called like Nicotine or something, and that was them and just not even pretending to be a cross-dresser. And then they decided to do the whole cross-dressing thing when they went over to the ContraPoints channel. And then after getting a whole bunch of attention, everyone was like, you know, oh, you're so cool. You're so, are you genderqueer? They were like, I guess. And then they were like, shoot, I'm going on hormones. I'm going for the gold, you know?
Cut my face up.
By the way, that's totally a decision that he's never going to regret. Ever.
Oh, no, he's going to regret it. Oh, wait, never mind. I'm being autistic. Sorry. Sorry.
Yes.
Fuck.
Oh, I had a thought. What
Yeah,
was
those
it?
titty.
You know what? I just realized. I don't think Lordy does he use Discord at all. You should send him a the only way of contacting him is through Facebook, but I'm banned right now because I got into
I'll
a
send him
Facebook
one.
argument and someone was being annoying, so I told him to kill himself. So it's like the one time I got banned from Facebook when like it's actually like okay, fine. But the point is I can't message him to let him know this is where we are. So Prince, I don't know if you want to like shoot him a
Well, did
message or
he?
something in case he has Discord to hop in here.
Wait, who did you tell to kill themselves?
Oh, just some random person that I'm like got acquaintance with in real
Well,
life.
did he deserve to die?
Well, I mean, you know, if he took my advice literally and ends up
Yeah,
dead for it, I wouldn't really feel bad because it means he's dumb.
right.
Yeah, you have so
What did
many
he say?
retards on your Facebook
I have
page.
so many. I know. I like deliberately say really awful, offensive things constantly in order to like bait them into unfriending me, and mostly it's worked. I think I've lost at least like 80% of the people who like became friends with me in college.
So what did this guy say?
Oh, it was like I made a post about circumcision, and he always takes the bait and comes in and like tries to like make light of it, and then like everybody who is also in my Facebook like descends on him.
I think
Well,
this is the guy that I got in an argument with. I think.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I have a lot
Oh,
of fun with
I
my
think I
Facebook.
was in an argument with him too.
Yeah, I think you
Is that
were.
the guy just like wouldn't stop, even though everybody was just demolishing him, and he was trying to like talk about how basically like some version of the baby is living rent free and the woman
Oh, that was
something
someone
like
else,
that.
but yeah, that was the same thread. Because yeah, anyway, but I guess we don't need to talk about social. But the point
that
is, that's
sounds.
why I'm not able to
That's
message Jordan. So,
the thing about the
Okay,
baby.
well, I wrote him, but he wasn't. He didn't appear to be online, and he doesn't check his Facebook all that often. So
okay. Well, we did have a lot of. I was surprised. I was just kind of looking through on like Drudge Report. That's how I find news. If I'm gonna look for articles, I just like okay, Drudge Report is just gonna be my authority. And there was a surprising number of like kind of interesting things. There was a shooting. If we want to talk about that, I know that like whenever like on a show or something like this where you talk about a shooting, you're supposed to do it in a you know a very
you're
serious
supposed to
way.
wait a few days or whatever.
Well, it's not even. I mean, you're supposed to. Yeah, I guess before you draw conclusions, right, and try to make a big point of anything going on, right? Oh, you mean the what's it called rule? The not the sandwich rule. The what was that rule called? Now it's driving me crazy. Something about the fudge rule. That's it. The fudge rule. You're supposed to wait that many days or something, but you know it's a big story. The El Paso shooting, 40 injured, 19 confirmed dead, I
Yeah.
think, and it looks like this guy, the guy who's suspected of it, is a 21-year-old white male, and there's apparently a manifesto going around on 8chan, which you know I'm suspicious. I'm not sure if that's just somebody because if you hear about any shooting, you could totally write up a manifesto and then put it anonymously on a website like that, right? And then like it'll circulate around. And like
Yeah.
that's obviously very entertaining. But I don't know if we have any particular reason to doubt that it's real, just, you know, some general reason to. I was looking at an article, you know, just before we went live, and it only had a couple of screen capped paragraphs from it. Um, but yeah, it's pretty much like the most like cookie cut sort of like white separatist kind of thing that you could imagine. It literally opens with like first sentence endorsing the New Zealand shooter, which yeah, though the whole thing's a little bit kind of funny. Ultimately, my rule with
On the
all
nose.
shootings is anecdotes are anecdotes, you know. Um, and obviously, of course, you know all of the regular condolences. It's very sad. You know, nobody should be shot ever. you know,
It sounds like almost like a copy pasta of what the fucking other shooter, the New Zealand shooter, his manifesto said.
maybe. I mean,
'Cause-
with the thing is though, is that the New Zealand Shooter's Manifesto had a lot of like references interwoven into it, and kind of had this play to it where he was almost explicitly saying that I'm doing this because I know the media is going to react in such a way. But as far as I can tell, this new one, it's really just like a very plain, naked, like I'm doing this because white separatism and the race mixing is bad, and yay New Zealand shooter, right? It's like very
Yeah,
very
Brenton Tarrant,
like
my hero,
literary on the
XD.
nose. But I haven't read the whole thing. I haven't read the whole thing, so I don't really know. And of course, now whenever there's like a manifesto or something, like it's all heavily censored. Nobody wants to let anybody read it. Which, I get the argument that if it's this highly publicized thing that everybody's going after and looking at, I get that that creates an incentive for people to do these things because then they get to be heard. So I can see why people might want to kind of shut that sort of thing down. But at the same time, like if we're going to be looking at this in order to kind of understand it and know what's going on, you also kind of have to know. So there's really no way to win. The only way to win is to not play, which is to say to not have a shooting.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just kind of my quick assessment of it, just based on what I had started to read on it. But if what we've seen so far, if all of this is really holding up under scrutiny, then this is probably going to be, this will be the new Dylan Roof, right? This will be the one that we're hearing about as like kind of the default shooting for a pretty long time.
Yeah. So, I mean, the media can't do as much with this one because it's not necessarily a school. So I suppose that like with a school, there's like mostly children in it. So I guess there's a more tragic aspect to that. So like people
Oh yeah,
can,
but this one was in
feel that.
Walmart, so everyone's like, eh. Everyone's like, I've been to
Yeah.
people of Walmart, like. Sorry, that's awful.
Yeah.
That's an awful joke. That's in poor taste.
I heard that.
Yeah.
I heard that it was 4 of them. Did you hear that?
4 shooters?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
I did not hear that.
I think there's one arrested and another one arrested for being a possible accomplice. And apparently he used an AK, and if I want to bet that like money that came from a fucking single mother or something.
Yeah,
so.
I mean those are basically the 2 free spaces in this bingo is single mother and drugs. Lots of drugs.
This kid took a fucking, assault rifle and then, just went to this Walmart without any known motive. So I think there's probably drugs involved with it.
Do you think he bought the gun at the Walmart?
I don't think they sell fucking AK-47s at Walmart.
Sorry, that was just a bad joke. But some Walmarts sell guns, which is very American. I appreciate that.
It.
I feel bad though. I just feel like I don't know. I'm a huge fan of Walmart. Like I think Walmart is fantastic. I think that it's just like a great place, just all around. So the fact that it happens at a Walmart, like I can kind of sympathize with people when like there's a shooting at a church and they're all sad because it's a place of worship. I feel like this shooting happened at my place of worship. I'm not joking. I seriously feel that way. Like, I love Walmart. Okay, like that. I'm sorry.
I put it in the comments 3 a story.
Oh yeah, let me grab that. Okay, this is the annoying thing is that if I I can look at it from here. Okay, I had to open up a separate browser because if I do anything in Chrome, it like messes with the little clip of the window I have here for the chat. So that's how hard my life is. Okay, so you have an AP News one. Yeah, I had one from NBC, oddly enough. I guess I wanted to find the actual manifesto. Okay, so I'm gonna copy the link and we'll go into Firefox, which I normally never use Firefox, even though I have nothing against it in particular. Okay. So we can kind of read through it. Texas governor, 20 dead in El Paso shopping complex shooting. Oh, this was updated 12 minutes ago. So this is... let's see. 20 people were killed and more than 24 injured in a shooting Saturday in a busy shopping area in the Texas border town of El Paso, the state's governor said. My audio's still working, right? I heard like a disconnect noise.
That's Kapow coming in.
Oh, okay. Welcome, Raw Unplanned Dance. Glad to see you made it. Also, anybody watching, since this is on my channel, probably a lot of the regular people who might show up for Gaytriarchy might not be aware it's happening. So, any spamming or shilling or whatever you do is obviously greatly appreciated. I did post it on my Twitter, so if you want to retweet it, that's always helpful. If you want to get more buzz, have a more lively chat. Alright, so 20 people were killed, more than a dozen injured in a shooting Saturday in a busy shopping area in the Texas border town of El Paso, the state's governor said. Among the possibilities being investigated is whether it was a hate crime, the police chief said. 2 law enforcement officials who spoke to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity identified the suspect taken into custody as 21-year-old Patrick Crucius. I wonder why they wanted to be anonymous.
They probably don't think that it's an actual shooter or like accomplice. They're just like doing it.
Though, if you're working in an official capacity, I don't understand why you'd want to be anonymous. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. I guess that's not really my area of expertise. Maybe there's all kinds of reasons, but to me that's strange. El Paso police haven't released his name, but confirmed the gunman is from Allen near Dallas. So the police didn't release his name, but 2 officials who are anonymous identified it as Patrick Crucius. I don't know, does this happen before, where you have apparently law enforcement officials under anonymity releasing the name, but then the police officially don't release the name? Does anybody else think that's like really convoluted?
Fucking weird.
That's super weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. I'm just like I'm not trying to go super tinfoil hatty. I'm just like, I don't know. It's just how my brain is. Police said another 26 people were injured, and most were being treated at hospitals. Most of the victims were believed to have been shot at a Walmart near the Cielo Vista Mall. They said, adding that the store was packed with as many as 3,000 people during the busy back-to-school shopping season. Really? 3,000 people in a Walmart? I guess this Walmart must be like really big. The ones in Minnesota aren't that big, I don't think. I don't think you could fit 3,000 people in one. Okay, the scene was a horrific one, said El Paso Police Chief Greg Allen, who described many of those hurt as having life-threatening injuries. He also said police found a post online that may have been written by the suspect, one reason authorities are looking at whether it was a hate crime. El Paso, which has about 680,000 residents, is in West Texas and sits across the border from Juarez, Mexico. Residents were quick to volunteer to give blood to the injured after the shooting, and police and military members were helping people look for missing loved ones. It's chaos right now, said Austin Johnson, an Army medic at nearby Fort Bliss, who volunteered to help at the shopping center and later at a school serving as a reunification center. Adriana Quezada, 39, said she was in the women's clothing section of Walmart with her 2 children when she heard shots. But I thought they were hits, like roof construction, she said. That also seems strange. I guess maybe if it's a big enough room, but like gunshots are loud. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they're like very fucking loud,
they're
actually.
Extremely loud. Even like with a quote unquote silencer, they're very, very loud. Now I've never been near like live guns being shot, so I've only heard that it's extremely loud. But that's one thing people often emphasize is how loud they are. So that seems strange to me that she says it sounded like construction. But maybe if it's like if it really is this massive Walmart with thousands of people in it, I suppose I could see how if it's like far enough away. Her 19-year-old daughter and 16-year-old son threw themselves to the ground, then ran out of the store through an emergency exit. They were not hurt, Quezada said. She said she saw 4 men dressed in black moving together, firing guns indiscriminately. Police later said they believed the suspect was the sole shooter, but were continuing to investigate reports that others were involved. El Paso Police Sergeant Robert Gomez said the suspect, who used a rifle, was arrested without incident. That's another weird thing I've seen mentioned in other places, that he's arrested without incident. I guess that's a technical phrase. I don't know if that means like he surrendered, but it's bizarre, right? Like you'd assume like this is an incident. Like, huh? Okay. The shooting came less than a week after a gunman opened fire on a California food festival. I didn't even hear about this. Santino William Legan, 19, killed 3 people and injured 13 others last Sunday at the popular Gilroy Garlic Festival and died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Did anyone hear about this, the Garlic Festival shooting?
Yeah, I actually thought that the police officers killed him. He didn't kill himself.
Apparently he killed himself.
Oh.
Ryan
I guess
Milkey,
if you want to hero yourself if you are surrounded by police officers.
Yeah, I had heard what you heard too. And the thing is, he posted... Okay, the garlic shooter guy seems to be... Okay, first of all, I get really annoyed in general when people try to say that, you know, if a shooter was racist or even, you know, against illegal immigration or something like that, then that means they must be right-wing. There's definite all sorts of possibilities of motives of shooters who do have some sort of racial motive in mind, who aren't necessarily racist, or sorry, not necessarily right-wing or left-wing. You know what I mean? It might not really be politically motivated. It might not have anything to do with our government. It might just be like, ooga booga, stay away from my land, ooga booga. You know what I mean? It might just be this tribalistic thing. And but the thing about the garlic shooter is that he did say he was gonna shoot some white twats, and then some it's a Spanish word that apparently means it's a derogatory term for half-breeds, typically white in Spanish. And so, you know, if you were to take the left's narrative, it would be like, oh, well, clearly he's a leftist. But I don't know if that's necessarily true still, but they didn't report that he was a Republican or a Trump supporter. So we can assume he probably really was a leftist. You know, it's kind of a spin-off of Ann Coulter's rule, where you can learn what they probably were based on what they don't report, you know?
Right. What's this? What's this comment about them being a military base nearby? I didn't hear about that, because that wasn't in the article.
Oh, well, I don't know about that, but there was Antifa threatening to commit acts of terror on the border facilities, like the customs and border.
Well, then they had the actual guy
that's
charge it and shoot too, right? That. I need to keep a spreadsheet, all these shootings, but someone probably has one. But let's see. I've kind of been skimming through the rest of this article, and the next interesting bit of it is do you guys want to hear what Beto O'Rourke had to say about it? Because that's the first thing I want to hear about is what Beto thinks.
Kinda, yeah.
Presidential candidate and former Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke appeared a bit shaken as he appeared at a candidate forum Saturday in Las Vegas, shortly after news of the shooting in his hometown was reported. The Democrat said the shooting shatters any illusion that we have that progress is inevitable on tackling gun violence. He said that he heard early reports that the shooter might have had a military-style weapon, saying we need to keep that expletive on the battlefield. Do not bring it into our communities.
It was already illegal.
Yeah, it's already
That's
illegal.
Something...
We have to find some reason for optimism and hope, or else we consign ourselves to a future where nearly 40,000 people a year will lose their lives to gun violence, and I cannot accept that. So
okay, that's a little bit of an exaggeration. Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe it's not.
They actually they actually artificially inflate those gun statistics because they also measure people killing themselves, like with suicide with guns. So like, yeah, like half of those aren't even fucking like murder.
Oh yeah, because the problem with male suicide isn't really that men have dramatically shittier lives than females, and women and nobody ever really cares at all. It's really because they use more violent means of killing themselves, like guns and hanging. So really, it's about toxic masculinity. Because if they didn't have those means and they didn't want to kill themselves like that, they would try to take pills and then fail, like all the nice, good girls.
If you control for completed suicides, the sex difference in lethality of methods goes away. At least in the few studies that have actually done that.
Yeah, right. Like you look at Australia where they ban guns.
I heard that too.
You know what though? I think you guys are being very misogynistic just because a person uses less lethal methods of killing themselves does not mean they're any less serious about killing themselves, okay?
Okay.
Obviously. Also, of course, there's nothing...
Hey, I just want to mention, real quick, Kapow, you have not said anything, and it says that your mic is muted, so if you've tried, there's a reason for that. Just saying.
Yeah, I think maybe it's lurking, but
I think he does have a mic though.
No, it's just I don't have my headphones right now, so and then like watching Netflix, kind of.
Okay.
I hope that whatever we're saying dubs over it really well. Oh, speaking of Netflix, do you guys want to know what I just watched and it's like super amazing on Netflix?
Some fucking anime or some shit.
It's this anime called Backstreet Girls, and what it's about is some Yakuza men who like they screw up somehow and their boss decides they can either...
dude, I'm watching that. Yeah, I'm watching that right now with my friend Chance.
It's so good. Either they get murdered or they get sent to have sex changes and then become pop idols. So it's literally about like a J-pop group, but like they're all actually these like gangster men.
What?
It's amazing. It's so good.
I need to see this.
It's like my favorite anime now. I watched the entire thing. I couldn't stop.
What's the name of this?
Backstreet Girls, the Goku dolls.
Yeah, Backstreet Girls. That's fucking amazing.
I've seen a lot of good anime this year. I've really been weebing out, and it's been a good life. Anyway, so speaking of transsexual Japanese pop stars in anime, what does O'Rourke have to say about this? No. I don't know. Is there anything else we want to say about the shooting, or should we maybe move on to another topic?
I almost misheard that as the shitting. But, yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything else to add.
I guess one thing to add is a lot of the gun violence is like gang violence, and the idea that there's no important difference between mass shootings and like gang violence over drug wars and stuff is like very, very disingenuous. Not as disingenuous as including all the suicides, obviously, but I think that's also worth mentioning.
Yeah, but like I said, I guess like. In closing, I suppose all I can really comment on is this is probably going to like push more like the narrative of toxic masculinity, like white men being like the devil, and so also they'll probably ban guns at least in like that state, or at least try and
in Texas.
But like the toxic masculinity shit.
Well, they can certainly try to ban them.
I mean, Texas might go blue. I think that's been the fear lately, is Texas will go blue. So we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
I would find the effort to enforce such a ban extraordinarily entertaining, I must say.
Yeah, that'll be a little crazy. So, okay, the other...
Yeah, the boomers might come...
Yeah. The other stories I have are, there's one about Bill Mayer being interrupted by a pro-Trump protester on his show. There's one about this Chinese billionaire suing CNN for $50 million for defamation. That was probably the least interesting story, but I I hope he wins because it sounds like his claim is legitimate, and anything that's bad to CNN, I 1000% endorse. So, go China, like take them down, please. Please save us from our media with your Chinese billionaires. Oh, and then the other one I have is Kevin Spacey makes his first public appearance since his scandal, and it's a poetry reading. He's reading poetry. And there's a video. We can watch the video of Kevin Spacey reading his poetry. Did you guys want to watch it?
Is it good poetry?
Huh?
No.
You don't
To
want
be
to watch it? It's very short. It's only like 2 minutes.
Okay.
It's very short. And it seems like it's good I mean, I think poetry is like the gayest thing ever and super bougie, and I hate it. But
Especially Alok's poetry. That's like super shady. Oh my gosh. Do you know who that person is?
why do I need to sign in order to link to this? Why is my life so hard? Here we go.
Can you guys hear me now? Or
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay.
I don't know.
So I have this.
I can hear you.
Okay, so I'm
Okay.
going to put the video in my. Sorry, I only use a touchpad. That's why I'm such a noob, and I can't see my keyboard, so I have to type without looking at it, and I always fuck it up. Okay.
Kapow, we can hear your weep shit in the background.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'll go somewhere else where it's quiet. Chance, can you turn that down?
Okay, Kevin Spacey read. Okay, here it is. I think I have it. So I wonder if my screen, what it's showing right now.
Sorry
here we
to
go. This one
intrude.
If I put it up here, there we go. Wait, that's not it. Why do I have the hardest life?
What's this? What's
Okay.
going on here? Sorry to intrude.
Say that again, please. I can't hear what you're saying. My face is made of bronze. Can't you see? Look at my eyes, my ears, my chest. Say it again if you like, or save your breath. The words give way before me. Every time there is something that doesn't add up, the voice is lost. I don't know why, but it is never enough. What is that you're saying? Well, perhaps you are right. The more
Derek,
you
you've
are
cut
wounded,
off
the greater
or something.
you are. And the more empty.
Oh no.
Wait.
Okay.
Can you not hear it if I mute my microphone?
No,
No.
we can't hear
It would
shit.
appear so.
Oh,
I'll say
really?
hello.
Because it should be in
Matt.
my desktop. It should be in my desktop
The
audio.
audio- It was okay after the first couple of seconds, but at
Oh,
first the
weird.
audio
Because
quality-
I muted my mic because I thought it might echo. Sorry, I'll go back. So, right here.
But I heard him say it was interesting,
words
like trying to decipher it.
give
I
way
thought I
before
could
me.
hear something like space is made of
Every time there
Brahmins
is something that doesn't add up,
or
the voice
some
is
weird
lost.
shit.
I don't know why,
But
it
no
is
doubt I
never
misheard
enough.
it.
By the way, I actually have an
What is
article
that
that you
you're
might be interested
Can you guys
in.
hear it now?
I think TFM. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait.
Let me, I don't think I can. Is that my highest? Here, I'll up my my desktop volume so that. Oh, that's the best I can do. Okay, let's just give it a try.
Perhaps you are right. The more you are wounded, the greater you are. And the more empty you are. They used me for their entertainment, fed on shoddy stuff. Life was over in a moment. It was always like this. I fought, I looked for an edge, a dawn where I could start again. I have endured no end of sleepless nights. I have spent hours and hours sweating and to destroy and fall. I did everything to fill up every space. The blood shone in my veins, and basically, I always wanted to drop. What you see are my gloves, sacred to life. My wounds. Stop a minute. Rest your hand there. Look. You have to suck at the heart of a hero as long as it beats. You ought to know this. I shook the country, made the arenas vibrate, tore my opponents to shreds. I lit up the darkness, collected insults, compelled applause. Not everyone knows how to do this. None of you. On the other hand, life is not frightening for those who have never taken a risk. Who can understand me? Who can I speak to?
So I don't know if that's the whole thing, but just God, why is the Telegraph recording vertically? Is one thing I want to know.
I was going to ask Spacepan. I actually have an article that you might be interested in. I think TFM was actually covering it in his one of his videos. I'll post it in comment. It's from the Daily Wire. The title is "She verbally consented to sex, but the school determined that he had still committed rape. Reasons: because he cajoled her with flattery."
Oh, that sounds just
Was
like
was
the
it a
old
real
article. There was an article I saw called "I was raped with my consent," and I was looking for it the other day, and I couldn't find it. It sounds like this is like a new instance of that of consent rape.
Yeah, but is literally the standard of him like being so like very nice to her, and then like she was just like, oh, okay, let's fuck, and apparently that's rape because I don't fucking know anymore. Like, it's just basically women have no fucking responsibility, so therefore they can just say rape whenever they want to.
Yeah, rape
Yeah,
is justified
that was
by
a
your
real.
feelings.
I thought that was a fake story. That was real.
Oh, it's real. It's from the Daily Wire. Daily
what
Wire.
the fuck?
Yeah, it's like rape inflation. It's a good thing to call it.
Oh, hey, I really liked him and he talked so nice to me, so I fucked him. So that's rape now.
Well, should we talk about that right now, or should we do something first, or talk about another article first?
Well, I guess, did anyone have any thoughts on Kevin Spacey's poem?
Not really. I couldn't really hear that much.
And
So.
poetry. So I realized. So anybody in the chat, anybody watching, was able to hear it. The reason you guys weren't able to hear it is because you're listening through the Discord channel and not through the actual YouTube video. Which, if you were listening to the YouTube
that might
video,
be
there'd be
it.
a delay anyway. So anyway, I just because I figured out what the deal was, so I'm proud of myself. But speaking of rape inflation or rape farming is the term I like to use. I saw an article on Drudge Report, a headline about like 1 in 4 people lie to their partner about their financial status or whatever. And I thought, since that's, now part of the bar for rape and not having consent, like, I guess that there's a lot more. We're in a rapey rape universe,
Women who lie about their weight and so on, are they going to be convicted now? I mean, of course not, but...
I just hope this stuff isn't retroactive. Like, I don't want my exes to come out like, oh yeah, we were together and we were in love, but you tricked me into it. You cajoled me into having a relationship and you raped me. Like,
Well, it really depends. First, do you have a Me Too culture in your country, in Sweden, or where do you live? I'm sorry.
in Switzerland, there's only been a few cases of accusations, so it's.
You'll probably be okay then.
Well, you never know.
Then again, compared to the population, there wasn't that many cases in America either. Like, you have 300 million people and a couple of thousand accusations, I think.
It really is a race to the bottom, though. You really never know because, they can just retroactively change the rules everywhere no matter what. And oftentimes even rules in places you don't live in can spill over to affect you. At least that's kind of how it's been working with divorce and with marriage. So there really is no 100% guarantee of anything.
Well, there is the fact when I was studying like 7 years ago, they already had like this disclaimer: don't get into an elevator with one woman alone as a man. They all had all the meetings with the students in the hallway so there would be witnesses, and they had this poster that showed a hand on the shoulder of a female figure talking about sexual assault. Like, putting your hand on the shoulder of a woman is somehow sexual harassment or assault. So at least in academia, I think we're quite there.
They should have had a PSA of like a woman like in the corner of an elevator, and then there's like a shadowy man with his finger on like the elevator close button.
No, that actually would have been funny. No, they just told us not to get into an elevator if it's only one woman and one man, meaning you. Because apparently they had some cases where students or teachers made claims which nobody could refute because it happened in an elevator without a camera. So at least
seems
in
like a
academia,
simple enough
that shit is
solution.
already here.
Yeah, so rather than putting cameras in the elevators, they figure, let's just teach all men not to rape. That's much more practicable.
Of course. I really needed that lesson. Like, I would have raped a woman the next day if they hadn't told me that day. It was the last straw. I'm so thankful they told me. I didn't know it was wrong. Nobody ever... Come on, this is such bullshit.
This is actually funny.
Derek.
I had a dream where it was at the ICMI, which was happening in a shopping mall, and I got into the elevator, and there was just me and a woman, and it was a women's only elevator, and the woman like gave me a dirty look when I walked in, and then as she got off on her floor, she looks back at me over her shoulder, and she's like quivering, and she says, 40% of rapes happen in elevators, and then like she ran away.
How? How can
Well, it's
40...
a dream.
14 or 40? Well, it's a
And
dream.
this is dream logic, so she said 40%.
It's your mind projecting the future.
It was great. It was
Jesus.
I hope that, and then also all the honey badgers were there and they were cosplaying as their avatars in red body paint.
But I'm just confused. Like, there's no such thing as only women elevators. Right?
No.
No.
Not yet.
But, this is dream logic.
That's
so.
literally how my dreams are now.
It sounded so real. It's scary.
Well, they don't call
Honestly,
it
given the logic of this fucking article, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. If men don't actually nut the fuck up and like tell women off, or like say enough is enough, then I think we're actually gonna get to that fucking point where we have women only elevator. Because like look at what the standard is. Because he is literally being nice to her, and that's considered rape. Like, I don't know how else to put it.
Like, I want to say I can't imagine how it can get any crazier than this, but they will show me.
I want to make
They
a
will show
parody
me.
of the Pokemon rap, where instead of Pokemon, it's just all the different rapes. Because, like, there's at least 150. I want to make just
At
like a
least
Pokedex of all the rapes.
At least 150 different species of rape.
Exactly, species
Prince of Queens,
rape.
do you have anything to comment on about?
Not necessarily.
Should we go to another topic, another one of these articles? There's the ones I found, but I don't know. I'm looking at them and I guess we could figure out what happened with this Bill Mayer thing. This one I haven't looked into.
I could
so
send
much.
you. Did you see the one I sent you in DMs, Derek?
Let me see.
Like a while ago, about the girl whose mother and her brother, I think it was, both killed themselves.
Oh yeah. You posted to a Sargon video about it because like they have the sister's face, right? Because she's the living female face of the suffering, and not either of the people who killed themselves.
Yep.
Yeah, so people have been talking about that a lot. So how new is that story? I feel like I've heard of this one before, unless these are different ones that are similar.
I can't remember. I didn't look at the age of the article, but I think it's fairly recent.
Yeah. Man and his mother committed suicide after a false allegation, with the sister as the picture on it. Let me just open up the Sargon video really quick.
False allegations.
So this was posted pretty recently. Where is the Sargon? Did you not put the article in the? Okay, there we go.
18th July. No, that's another article. Why is it linked? What the fuck?
This is
Sargon.
pretty new, right? Is this in Cyprus? Alleged fault. Wait a minute. This isn't even. This isn't even the same article. What are you doing, Sargon? Sargon!
No, I think the plaintiff was. Oh,
Here we go. Oh, this is really funny. Up in the URL, young woman's agony over mum. That's like the original, I guess, name of it.
Oh wow, I didn't see that.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, Camellia
Whoa,
Cheshire was driven to the brink of suicide herself as she organized funerals for mother Karen and her brother Jay, 17. Yeah, that is kind of cartoonish, but obviously sad.
It happens. I mean,
it's just if that's the headline, it's kind of creepy that she's sad about her mom killing herself, but would like, yeah, she probably is also sad about her brother.
Yeah, well, and we don't know that that was anything like that she actually said. It looks like that was just how the article was originally set up. Because you see this all the time, right? Whatever the original beginning of the URL is usually like the old title that like after some backlash they'll switch it to. But yeah,
but they
to keep
to keep the URL so that the link doesn't go dead. So
right, so he was
sometimes
falsely
that's
accused
revealing.
of rape, and that's why him and his mother ended up killing themselves. And it's
That's fucking sad.
yeah. I guess I'm not really sure what else to say. Courageous Camellia is now 22 and talks for the first time about an ordeal that tore her family apart. Okay. Yeah.
talking. I'm gonna come across as an arse here, but I'm sorry. Talking to the press about something is not courageous. Like, it's not.
Yeah, the term
It's
courage
actually-
has really been cheapened, you know? It's just,
Yeah.
like, we kind of...
It
Among many.
It seems very self-serving, really.
Yeah, it's not. Well, what's the right word? Like, she did the right thing, shining a light on this situation, but is that courageous? Like, does she have anything to lose if she does that?
And I don't want to come down on her, right? Obviously, shouldn't, like...
No.
Right?
I'm
Yeah,
just looking for the right word. Like, what's the right word if you talk about something bad that happened? Like, it's not basically courageous, but what is the right word?
Functional. That's a good word.
Functional, there we go, right? Wouldn't that be amazing, right, if we could just use, like, language like that that's kind of neutral to describe things that people should just kind of be expected to do? Instead, it's like, if you do anything, you're courageous and brave and stunning.
I do sort of think though that there is a lot to risk by being a woman in such a feminist totalitarian nation as the UK, admitting to such a thing.
Yeah, but I mean, are the feminists or the progressives that low that they would attack a woman who lost her mother and her brother?
Well, they attacked Aaron Pizzey pretty hard.
Okay, I blanked that out in my mind because they killed her dogs, and
I'm not
There
sure
was some
if there's proof that it was actually feminists that did that. There was a little bit of I guess
might have been
ambiguity with
exaggerated.
that.
Maybe somebody else
But
killed
I
the
know-
dogs.
Yeah, that's kind of the popular claim, though. But still,
I just think that
obviously-
that someone actually killed the dogs, but it might have been happenstance, like somebody hated the dogs. I don't know. There's some
It
crazy
was-
people out there.
Likely feminists paying somebody else to do it, because let's face it, they wouldn't do that themselves.
Yeah, good old
Like,
because proxy violence is just a myth, right?
Yeah.
It's just like there was this whole campaign against her, and during that, the dogs got killed. So you kind of jump to the conclusion that it probably was because of that, and I still think it probably was because of that. But yeah. But you have a point. They could attack someone who speaks out about the negative consequences, the horrible consequences of false rape accusations leading to a double suicide.
Well, and what I would imagine is, I suppose the worst of it from a feminist perspective is they would challenge the notion that it was a false allegation. and they wouldn't, and they'd use a lot of sympathetic language in regard to this girl coming forward, but then they'd proceed to just savage the memory of her dead brother. I think that would be kind of the
they'd say,
feminist approach.
"Oh, well, she, there's so many rapes that go unreported, so this doesn't count, and you're being a rape apologist to the people who really did get raped or something."
Yeah, or in cases where the women actually confess that it was false, they say, yeah, but it's still important that this guy got crucified because there's so many unreported rapes. So the ones that are false allegations, they are still necessary to break the mold.
Right, or they would argue, if this whole issue of false allegation wouldn't happen if men wouldn't rape in the first place, right? So ultimately, it's all the patriarchy.
Definitely, there's no question about that. It's a fucking clown world, man.
So there's another article here that I think is very interesting about South Korea. South Korea's sex doll ruling arouses controversy among consumers. And
yeah.
Okay, so usually when you see backlash to sex dolls, it's women complaining about obsolescence essentially, right? And they'll use all kinds of arguments about that it promotes immorality, or that it's misogynistic, or that or in a rare bit of honesty, they'll say it's putting women in brothels out of work, right? Which is the most hilarious take, I think. But
is it TradCon's moral fagging this time?
Yeah, you got ding ding ding. That's it. It's South Korean traditional conservatives moral fagging, because of course in Asia we don't really have the big robust kind of feminism that you see in the West, where Western feminism is very in your face, unapologetic, very very hilarious, like a parody of itself, right? But wherever you see strains of feminism in Asia, it's more very traditional gynocentrism. So you see more of this kind of sex negative style feminism, and at the very least it's not as overtly hypocritical as in the West. It's just kind of a natural extension of gynocentrism. So here, the angle is that it's going to lead to an increase in sex crimes, which makes no sense. I'm not sure there's...
Also,
yeah.
I just want to say, I like how you use the term strains as if it's an infection.
It is an infection. It's awful.
Yeah, it is.
Of course, the frustrated, let's say, incels to please the masses, they are more likely to rape women if they have a sex doll, because they can't fuck the sex doll or something.
And the funny thing is that women, a lot of these feminists don't expect that women would do the same thing if they had the upper body strength and size of a man. For example, if women had the upper body strength and the role, the gender role of that men have, and the intelligence that men have, they would start just as many wars as men, in my opinion, if not more.
Oh,
they get in wars over they get in fights over the most petty shit.
But don't forget that chick. Was it where did the Rohingya live? Was it Mali, or what's the country's name? There was a female leader that let this genocide happen. So
yeah,
it's not like the women don't do they even have a documentary about the concentration camps where they established that the female wardens were the most cruel and sadistic of all. So,
right. And
well,
also,
in the Middle East, in a lot of these, like ISIS compounds, they'll have females as kind of the, I forget what their actual title is. The moral police, basically. They'll have them run it.
I thought you were just gonna say the moral facts.
I mean, that's kind of it. But,
yeah.
So So what's interesting about this happening in South Korea is what had happened was they actually have like a general ban on things that could quote unquote corrupt public morals, which sounds like the dumbest, most untenable standard you could ever have.
Oh, you don't, guys. You don't know the half of it. There's a law called the Shutdown Law in South Korea, which bans teenagers from. Well, it's supposed to ban teenagers or block them from playing video games between the hours of, I think it's midnight and 6 in the morning. Because
However,
they were
would
too
they get around that?
Yeah, because I guess the government decided that the kids were too video game addicted. I mean, they're not wrong, to be honest, from what I've seen, but it's still really funny.
Yeah, South Korea is insane in terms of video games because it's more legal to have like video game competitions, because in the United States you can't really do it because it's classified as gambling, but in South Korea there's all sorts of professional video game leagues. So there's a lot of people who are really, really crazy about video games because it's a good way to make a living.
I knew a Danish guy who moved there for the sole and explicit purpose of being a professional esports player. He was a bit dim, to be honest, but he seems to be having fun there. Yeah, he literally plays. Oh god, what was it that he liked?
Was it StarCraft? I know StarCraft was one of the big ones.
Yeah, StarCraft, and with him, League of Legends, I think, was his thing.
Did he get GTFO'd by the Asiatic master race when it comes to video games?
In all likelihood.
So what had happened is, so they have this this public morals law that restricts like bringing things like by planes or bringing importing different materials, right? And at one point they tried to use this to apply to sex dolls, and for a while that was kind of the case, and eventually it actually went to court, and the Seoul High Court actually struck it down and said, no, these are just for personal use, like this isn't really like porn, so you can't ban these anymore. So because of that, there's like this big massive petition of people saying like, no, this is outrageous, you need to ban sex dolls, and they have 237,000 signatures. And because it reached over, I think, 250,000, now it's something that like their government has to kind of come out and like address publicly. So
yeah, in Britain, something has to get petitions have to get 100,000 signatures here for the government to address it. So that's interesting.
I think it's the same here as well.
That's quite kind of interesting because Switzerland only has 8 million people and it is also 100,000 signatures. So it sounds easier in Britain than in Switzerland.
Yeah.
The funny thing too is it looks like they're not really, they're kind of enforcing it selectively. Like the ones that come in from Japan, they're like, they kind of roll their eyes and like, okay, fine. But with the ones that come from China, they're just like, no, absolutely not. Like, this has gone too far. We'll take the Japanese sex dolls, but not the Chinese ones.
That's
I was just about to say that they have like this mini trade war with Japan right now. What if Japan says, we won't give you no more sex dolls?
Yeah. It must be a relatively recent phenomenon, some sort of economic pressure, because the South Korean population definitely have more animus towards the Japanese than they have to China, from what I've seen.
Yeah,
it's even more prevalent than, I guess, anti-American sentiment there, anti-Japanese sentiment.
Yeah, but that's kind of understandable. Like, I wish they would get it. Let's just leave it in the past. But the Japanese did horrible things to the Koreans in the Second World War. That's undeniable.
They do need to get over it, though.
Yeah, like, it's been, like, what? That's, like... Yeah, like, just get over it. Like, it's, what, how many years is this now? 80 years? Fucking... Like, you know...
Don't let the Japanese fascists live rent-free in your head, if you know what I mean.
It is, like, really comical how Japan whitewashes its history. Like...
Well, it has to be said.
We just visited
Nanking,
okay? Like, it was just a vacation.
I'm not justifying any of the atrocities they committed, but before the Japanese arrived on the Korean peninsula in the 1910s, it was essentially a backward, pre-industrial, Malthusian, basically, society. And it was only from that point onward that they started to economically develop. I mean, there was still a third world country in the 60s.
Basically, the Japanese were the British of the Asians.
Well, yeah, and the Japanese themselves, prior to that, had been aping from technologies created by the West. But yeah.
Yeah, but let's not forget the irony, just as a last point of this tangent, that the German companies, Grundig, and I think Telefunken was also German, they basically built Samsung by outsourcing the production of their television to South Korea, and they just stole the plans and made their own and called it Samsung.
Interesting.
There was one other
So,
note
yeah.
in this article that was interesting. At the very end of it, they said that the author of the petition, one of the big reasons that they're saying that these love dolls need to be cracked down on is that they're concerned that people are going to make love dolls that look like real people. Like that, like to specifically emulate like certain idols or celebrities or something like that. Which, I don't know, to me that's just like, who cares? Like if somebody wanted a love doll that looked exactly like me and I'm sitting there like, you could have had anything and that's what you want, I'd be like, wow, what a nice compliment. Like imitation
It's some
really is the
flattery,
most
right?
sincere
Yeah, I would
form
be
of flattery.
flattered.
Yeah, I'd be really flattered, you know. Like
How
But
fucking solipsistic do you have to be that offended by it? Like, no, you're not good enough.
I'm just imagining like a girl walk up to a man in the street and like slapping their being like, I know you thought about me when you masturbated. It's like, get over it.
Why did you take all of those pictures of me? I am custom ordering a sex doll of you. Oh, how nice. Thank you. I would never have sex with you, but it's very nice.
So Prince of Queens apparently is laying down, so...
Yeah, but that's that's just, I thought that was an interesting article. But yeah, like on the whole like feminism in South Korea in general, like I guess the other related phenomena was you do have like Me Too over there, which is just mimicry of the West, which is just it's basically just women and men being simple blue pill gynocentric people because you know that transcends national boundaries. You know everyone's gonna have that to some degree. But then the other
I
thing
also
was
think
the
they have
no
a lot
makeup.
of gender quotas in South Korea.
Yeah, South Korea is very, very feminist by comparison to, like, say, Japan or China.
Yeah, and that's kind of funny. Like here in Hong Kong, I don't get a very strong feminist vibe, but it's definitely more Western than like in China. Like the things that struck me was, first of all, seeing people in wheelchairs. You don't see anyone in wheelchairs in China. And then the other thing is women smoking. You'll see women actually smoking cigarettes on the street, which I thought, huh, like I don't think I ever saw that when I was in China, but in Hong Kong you see it, you know, semi-frequently.
Sounds kind of
Interesting.
hot.
Aren't the Chinese in general infamous for smoking a lot, like in hospital waiting rooms and shit? The way
Yeah,
we
old Chinese men, almost never
British people.
women.
Interesting.
Because they're
But
very
yeah, it was
traditional.
like that
They're
in-
still very traditionalist, and it's, you know, which isn't even such a bad thing, I don't think. But like there's also a lot of they have like a lot stronger sense of familial obligation that extends into like extended family. So I think, and a lot of people.
Yeah, but it was also considered not like a manly thing to smoke, not a feminine thing to smoke, like in the Western countries up to the 50s, 60s. So
There's also this funny thing where and this is also the thing that men will do is they'll have like one long nail, and it's kind of for the same reason that women, right, have long nails and high heels. It's kind of just flexing, like, look how little I have to work, right? And then there's kind of like a male version of it where they'll just have like the one long nail, and it's supposed to show like I do work where I don't have to get my hands dirty. So it's a very peculiar kind of thing. Oh, the other weird thing is people will buy clothes and wear them with the tag still on them, because if the tag is still on it, that means it's new.
Yeah, I've seen that in Korean people as well, and for some reason it seems to be fashionable there as well to wear ridiculously, like, oversized, baggy shirts. It's really weird.
Yeah, that's a style I
Like,
see here too. I kind of like that look, that kind of boxy, drapey kind of look. Like it looks really cute on small people.
But I've never heard that. Like, and I know that these skater types around here, when they buy a hat, like a cappy, they keep the sticker on, which you're supposed to pull off when you buy it. For some reason, I never thought about it that way. Like, oh, I just bought this. I have so much money. I can buy these $100 caps once a week or something. Wow, it's weird.
Well, I had a roommate who was probably one of the dumbest people I've ever known, and he got fired from the Jimmy John's for stealing exactly as much money as you need to get a half ounce of weed, or not a sorry, a half eighth of weed, right? Which is like the most like stereotypical, conspicuous, like stoner.
But it's suspicious that his boss knew.
And to get fired from a Jimmy John's, which like half of them are basically just fronts for drug dealing anyway. But anyway, I saw he had a lighter, and I was like, instinctively, I kind of started pulling the sticker off it. He's like, "Don't do that," and I was like, "Oh, why not? I always pull the sticker off the lighter." And he's like, "No, I like to have the stickers on because then it looks new." And I was like, "Huh." Like that was kind of insightful. And that's the smartest thing the other side did.
An insight into complete retardation.
Yeah, but sometimes sometimes you can find that little gem. It's like crab meat. Something you got to crack it open and you can find a little bit of meat in there.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, but that's
I
kind
never
of the
thought
same,
about it that way.
Same mentality, I think, as people who like buy fancy clothes and keep the tag on. I kind of like the idea of people selling tags as accessories to wear with their clothes. That'd be a funny trend. Just like big, massive tags that you just stick onto your clothes to wear around. That'd be
it's kind of an extension, like something my mother told me that before I was born, there were people, like black market people, selling the Lacoste logo, like this little crocodile, as a sew-on. So you could sew it on to clothes, so it would look like you had the expensive Lacoste thing. And I guess people have always been that way.
My favorite is when PewDiePie made a shitty version of the Supreme logo for a hat that didn't have the E at the end, so it just said Supreme. And I'm like, I want a Supreme thing. I want a Supreme hat.
No, I want one too.
The other big thing that happened this last week were the Democrat debates.
Oh shit!
I didn't even watch them, honestly.
Here we go again.
I watched them. They were very funny and very infuriating. The best moment, of course, was Tulsi Gabbard absolutely pimp slapping Kamala Harris across the stage.
What did she?
Oh, can we get a clip? That you have to see that live.
It sounds good.
Yeah, I'll find a clip of it. Let's see.
Like Tulsi is actually like, if I actually had to fucking vote for like one of them, it'd probably be Tulsi.
She fucking ruined Kamala Harris. I don't think I've been so happy in quite a while. It was so beautiful.
Congresswoman Gabbard, you took.
Yeah, someone DM'd this to me. I need to.
All right, so guys, if you're in the voice chat, you might not be able to hear the video as well, but anybody who's watching the stream should be able to hear it through my desktop audio. So I'll drop the link.
I'll mute myself.
Yeah, I'll drop the link in here.
Or never mind.
Okay. And then I'm just gonna pull this up.
Congresswoman Gabbard, you took issue with Senator Harris.
Sorry, I have to adjust this. And hide that. Sorry, I gotta get this. Okay, here we go.
Harris confronting Vice President Biden at the last debate. You called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system. that is disproportionately negatively impacting Black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about reentering former offenders and getting them counseling. It is why, and because I know that criminal justice system is so broken, that I am an advocate for what we need to do to not only decriminalize, but legalize marijuana in the United States.
I want to bring Congresswoman Gabbard back in. Your response,
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who are on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, that was fucking...
It was fucking brutal.
Disgusting, Jesus.
Completely
I
brutal.
like how
and you could tell she was just completely shook. I didn't know what to do about that.
I like that she used the term reign.
I know, right? Your reign as prosecutor.
Sorry, that was just fucking beautiful. I could watch it again, like just now. It's put that fucking bitch in her place.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
she's probably not going to be the nominee, unfortunately.
Yeah, sadly. They actually... Did you hear the story about Twitter? After that part of the debate, Tulsi Gabbard became the most searched term from that debate, and Twitter actually suppressed the trending of her hashtag.
I did hear that.
It was nowhere to be seen.
I did hear that.
Like, talk about bias, you know?
You know what, though? I mean, that was one of the reasons so many people liked Trump, is that they saw very overtly all the ways that the Republicans were trying to, like the establishment Republicans were trying to shut down Trump. And, like, it's kind of, it's almost been forgotten at this point, but, like, the first year of Trump's presidency and the entire year leading up to the 2016 election, the Republicans were extremely never Trump, you know? Like, they, you know, and, like, it's gotten to the point where I think the Democrats have focused so much on demonizing the Republicans as a whole and depicting, you know, the Republican Party as Trump's party, that now there's more of a general perception that there's unity amongst all Republicans. But, you know, like I think that Trump actually was able to, you know, turn this underdog status to his advantage. And I wonder if Tulsi won't be able to pull off the same thing. And, like, you have to remember, too, that, like, you know, Trump announced his campaign for presidency in, like, July, I think, of 2015, right? So it's August now, right? Like this campaign for all of these candidates and all these debates, this is going on, like, a lot longer. You know, like, so
yeah.
So the idea, I really think that people are kind of assuming too much of, like, who the front runners are. You know, there was a point in 2008 when Rudy Giuliani was the big front runner, right? And people thought, oh, it's inconceivable that anyone but Giuliani is going to be the one, right? And then it had to have been Mitt Romney. And then, Mike Huckabee was up in the top 4 for some time or whatever, right? Even Ron Paul had done fairly well in a couple of, like, the straw polls and things. Like, it was, like this early on, we actually really have no idea, especially with this many people running.
Yeah, it just feels like the DNC meddling that was done to suppress Bernie Sanders, it never got the backlash it deserved, so
And I know
I
Prince
don't
had done a
expect
video
Tulsi
on this,
to have a chance.
the same thing with Kamala Harris, kind of joking about smoking weed and everything, or that she had lied about it. So yeah, that was. I'm glad that somebody picked that apart. It's also funny too that now all the Democrats, it seems like they're all talking about legalizing marijuana. Like it's a very, like common talking point now, which I just hope that.
I think it's okay. I think that's a good, but like, it should have been legal. It should have been legal like a long time ago. So.
Well, yeah, it should have
It
never
could
been
never
criminalized.
become
No
illegal.
drug should have been illegal ever.
Yeah. But I guess that's a little extra, I suppose. It'll probably be.
But it's also the laughing about that Kamala Harris laughing about having smoked weed herself. It's kind of reminiscent of.
Yeah, like no one actually fucking cares. But like that's the thing about weed in America. No one actually cares if you smoke weed. It's just like illegal. Like no one's actually going to enforce it. Really.
It just kind of reminded me of that tape of Hillary Clinton. I think it was in the 80s, where she laughed about getting a rapist out of as an attorney using what's the lie detector called, a polygraph. And she laughed about everybody knows polygraphs are bullshit, but I got him out using one.
Yeah, she said that it forever changed her faith in polygraph test accuracy. And
yeah, but she used it for her what you call that, for the guy she was defending. So
well, and what she did too was she like the prosecution in that case handled the evidence in really stupid ways, and she took advantage of that. But like, if you're a defense attorney, like it is your job, right, to just basically it's a game, and your job is to win that game at all costs. So I respect that she did her job, but the fact that she is kind of laughing about it, it's like a sewage worker who's like just wafting up all that sewage and really grinning as they're like really into it, It's kind of like it's supposed to be like, this is a dirty job, but someone's got to do it, right? Like that's kind of the dignified stance. Instead with Hillary Clinton, you get this sense of like she actually gets like she has like a lot of pleasure in exonerating this rapist, this known rapist.
Yeah, that's what was my impression. Like that really was one of the things that destroyed her character when I tried to learn a bit about her.
Yeah,
that's a very immoral stance. Like you could say, I just did my job and I used what I had, but laughing about it like that, not a good look.
I did see also earlier this week, H.A. Goodman had a podcast saying, predicting that Hillary Clinton is going to run, which is something Prince predicted a long time ago. And it does make sense. So I do think we're going to see Hillary Clinton wait until all of the other candidates have kind of bloodied themselves up fighting each other for a while, right? And then she'll have kind of this grand entrance towards the end that's really going to shake things up. But she's probably not going to have. She won't have the establishment support. She will. No, she has nothing to lose. She's basically lost everything. So this is kind of her last ditch effort, and she'll do it even if it means destroying everything. So
yeah, I don't think that she'll win though. Is what I'm saying.
No, but the possibility that she will run, like there, I don't know if it's true, but someone said that there was some. She donated like a huge amount of money to the DNC and made them sign some kind of agreement that she would have some control over the DNC. And if that is true, she will probably be able to if she wants to,
Now, whatever you think about the Trump presidency, or if it was disappointing or not. At the very least, you could admit that Trump kind of exposed Hillary a lot, and I don't think she'll ever will really recover from that 2016 race.
Yeah, if they actually make her the candidate, I think Trump 2020 is secured.
I don't know, because like a lot of people are kind of disappointed in Trump not getting the wall.
He got some of it, but yeah.
There's still stuff happening. He just got this court ruling that he can use the military funds to build parts of the wall. So he's still working on that, and it depends what happens before the actual vote happens, I guess.
We'll see. I don't know. I'm probably still gonna support Trump, but we'll see. I'm not sure. I don't think Tulsi is helping.
I really, really don't like Trump, but these Democrats right now, they're digging their own grave.
What I really hate about these debates is these Democrats will have a point where they're all talking, what we need to do is this, what we need to do is that, and they're all kind of discussing to each other like their competing strategies, and just this style of very casually talking about how much of your healthcare you should be entitled to controlling and which plan is the best to force everyone into. And like, to me, it just exposes just the heinously unethical nature of government. And the fact that this is just openly discussed, and that these stupid pageants are seen as like the crown jewel of the democratic process, like it's all such a. I just feel like there's nothing bad I can say about this system that does justice to how awful it is.
But there's also the other point. I think it was also Kamala Harris. I think Tim Pool talked about it. I don't remember the questions she was asked, but for some questions, she said, that's a Republican talking point. I won't even dignify that with an answer. Like,
yeah, and Elizabeth Warren told that too. And actually, those are the kinds of comments that got the most applause during the event. Is anytime they would basically double down and say the most extreme thing. They'd say, we shouldn't be compromising with them. We shouldn't be framed in their work. They get these very fiery, impassioned, kind of very, very non-political answers in a way, right? Like they're not willing to negotiate. And it's just a recipe for disaster. It's very emotionally satisfying to say we're not going to compromise on everything. We're going to do this. We can do this. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can have everything, right? Just all these extravagant promises. And like everybody knows this is what politicians do. Everybody knows they make promises that they can't keep, and everybody gets elected based on the best promises. And then we all complain that they don't deliver on those promises. So it's all very predictable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just really think like that was a big mistake. Like even if she got applause for it, because you should have an answer to that Republican talking point if you want to frame it like that. You should have a rebuttal. Just saying, oh, that's what the Republicans say. Yeah, so what's your response? Come on. If it's so stupid, you should have a smart response. Should be easy.
Well, and I just hate the fact that since they're going so far to the left, it basically means that Trump, like, he's not being pushed to the right at all, right? Like if the Democrats are trying to do things that are more appealing to the nation as a whole, then in order for Trump to distinguish himself, he actually would have to move further to the right and do more of the small government, drain the swamp, deregulate, sort of things that he kind of alluded to doing when he was first running. But because they're going to go so far to the socialist end, then he can kind of just sit pretty where he is, and he gets to justify moving the heart of the Republican Party even further to the left.
Yeah, you can just lean back and watch them burn right now. I don't know if it's going to get any better for the Democrats. Like, I would like a good Democratic candidate to beat Trump, but I don't see any good Democratic candidate. Like, I like Tulsi Gabbard. I have some sympathy for Andrew Yang, but I know those two won't be the candidate,
I don't have any empathy for Andrew Yang. He fucking broke my heart.
Yeah,
It's just like, oh yeah. It was like his anti-circumcision post, and he just fucking backpedaled on it.
That shit that really upset me. Like,
So I'm just like, you
I had
can burn
hopes.
it. You can burn now. You can burn.
At the
Yeah,
same time,
but
though, that's
it's-
most that we've actually ever gotten from a presidential candidate, which is even sadder.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but that was also the point where he really lost points with me, which just compared to the other ones, like I can even talk about Elizabeth Warren without making a strange face. Like Trump had her defeated when he framed her as Pocahontas because of her ludicrous claim to American indigenous heritage, which is 1 out of 1,024. Basically, everybody has that amount of indigenous traits. Like, that's stuff from 50,000 years ago, basically. That's insane. That woman's insane.
You gotta admit, though, that there is some big dick energy in the fact that she just tried to play that with a straight face. Like, see, I am native.
Yeah. And some people are still like. I saw a video where her supporters were interviewed, like 100 people were interviewed. Why do you like Elizabeth Warren? What has she done in office that you approve of? And nobody could name a thing. Like, I don't know what she did. Apparently her supporters don't either.
The other thing I hated about these Democratic debates is how often they use anecdotes, right? Because that's the whole thing as politicians. They go around the country and they meet all the little people, right? And then they have these personal stories they heard, and they're always like stopping the conversation to talk about here's a story I heard here, a story I heard there, and like I hate it. I hate when people argue from anecdotes because everybody knows like it's pointless, right? Because what's going to happen is they bring up an anecdote and you say that's very sad, condolences, or that's very interesting. Here's the overall trend, right? So for every one of the anecdote you just mentioned, there's like 1.5 or 2, right, of these other circumstances that are going to outweigh, right? And if you have one anecdote versus another anecdote, they just cancel out like battle bots, right? So it's this stupid thing where you can play the anecdote game until both sides admit, okay, yeah, they're just anecdotes. And it makes me so angry that nobody is willing to just cut out the middleman and say, like, stop it with these stupid fake personal stories where you pretend that you care about how some dude has healthcare through his employer and he really likes that and therefore we shouldn't be talking about these plans or those plans, or how this woman got triple, quadruple cancer in all of her fingernails and her baby died or something stupid. Like, it's just like, I don't care. Like, you can't make the argument in that way. And like they have 20 freaking seconds to make their point, and instead they're going to talk about, oh, so and so lives in Massachusetts and they have this and this was their job and then they had this ailment and they couldn't pay for it because of the insurance and this and all my time's up, and it's so stupid.
I would love if the American Democrat debates were in German, because then they would say even less. The German-speaking politicians, they always say the male and female version of a job or a heritage. Like they spend like 10% of their speech just saying both versions because it's a gendered language. So they have to say even less.
That'd be really funny. Well, hey, give it a few years, maybe we'll start to see that. We already got I guess the trend of them speaking Spanish, it didn't go over so well that when they tried it in the first series of debates. So I guess we didn't see any of that this time around.
Like the one guy was trying to out-Spanish the other guy. It was ridiculous.
And like their Spanish, it's like the way they say Spanish words just pisses me off so much. When they say Guatemala, and it's like, go fuck yourself. It's just guacamole. It's like just like guacamole. Just say it like a white person, okay? We stole it fair and square. Get over it. It's just when they do the
I care so much about this presidency. I had a language coach teach me how to say it over the top, like I was from that country.
it's just, and nobody buys it. The people they're pandering to are just like, this sounds fake.
It comes across as really pretentious, just signaling, basically.
Which I'm glad
It's
that,
also
at least that happens, right? I'm glad that we're at least at the point where enough people won't buy into that.
It's also kind of demeaning, like the Spanish-speaking voters wouldn't understand them if they spoke English. Like, I have to say this in Spanish because some of the people that I want to vote for me are main language Spanish, so...
Well, that might well be true of a substantial number of them, to be honest.
Yeah, but for the ones that understand them perfectly in English, that's kind of offensive even, you know? I will assume that you can't understand me right, so I will talk in your language because I'm such a white knight for your plight.
So I just remembered, you guys know that black trans disabled model, Aaron Phillip?
No.
Okay, so Aaron Phillip is like my favorite thing because I saw a clip. He's a black trans disabled model, right, in like a wheelchair, and
So basically, the fucking meme of lesbian,
the meme come to life,
lesbian
right?
in a wheelchair.
But it's so funny because I saw a clip of him doing a runway, like a catwalk.
You're not supposed
Just
to laugh.
imagine he's in
You're
a
not
wheelchair
supposed to laugh.
doing the catwalk, like you can't walk. Like
It's a cat roll.
I want to find that video because I was looking for it the other day and I couldn't find it and it made me really upset. I'm gonna see if I can find it now because it's my favorite thing.
Oh jeez. Like, I completely get where you're coming from, but we're not supposed to laugh about that.
It's so funny.
We're all going to hell.
I think I found it.
We're all going to hell.
I think I found one. Whatever. No, like, you know you're a model. But so it's... Okay, I'm gonna see if this loads. Why is it so slow? Gosh, I hate Yahoo.
Just give it time to buffer.
Yahoo's sabotaging me. Yes! This one has runway footage. Yes, I'm so happy I found this. Oh, sorry. Pronouns are female. I kept saying him. Because his name's Aaron. His name is frickin' Aaron, and it's supposed to be her. Aaron spelled with
Aaron,
double A.
like with an A?
Double A Aaron, and it's
because, not with an E?
That's like, not fair. That's a bait and switch.
Okay. It's like they want to trick you into saying he.
Yeah. Exactly. They are trying to trick me. Okay. So I have it on here. Wait a minute. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. Oh, I hate this stupid banner at the top. They all do this. Yahoo does this, and the other ones do this, and it makes me want to kill all the humans in Minecraft. I'm sorry, I can't stop laughing. Did you guys see it?
I'm trying to find another article for us to talk about. Hold on. Because so, like, off fucking track.
I'm not sure if there's an article about it, but I recently came across a... Did you see that thing where Trump got all of these groups that were... victims of violence, like the Yazidi, the Rohingya, people from North Korea in the White House.
Wait, did I play it? Did I not play? Oh, I did play it on the Google thing. Okay, so it should have shown. God, I'm so happy I found that. You guys have no idea how long I was looking for it the other day, and I don't know why I finally found it now. I'm so happy. Okay.
My brain's not ready to process this.
I want to download this video.
It's a thing. It exists, but I'm not sure what to think about it, man. It's
why?
Like I'm kind of glad that they coined this term "clown world," but I think we're gonna need a stronger word soon.
No, I think it's a very appropriate.
It's just like, literally your job as a model is to like have poses and to present clothes in different angles that are flattering. And it's like, if you're in a wheelchair, you're sitting there, and then like his face isn't even expressive, right? Like he like
I don't
looks
even know.
bored. He looks like he
Maybe
hates
this
it.
guy has this gal, to be gender inclusive, has some condition where they can barely move. Looked like that with the arm stuck up in the air, and the one hand controlling the wheelchair. But damn, that's just fucking psychopathic to put someone like I don't. No, I'll stop talking. I can't even.
Report of the week is having a live stream. 2,000 people watching. The chat is too much. Oh yeah, report. What's he eating? What is report of the week eating? I have to know. He's so funny. I want to make report. I need to make report of the week style videos, but my fingernails aren't fancy enough.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at Twitter right now. Apparently, Kathy Young was spurging out at somebody for being, I guess, quote unquote, racist or whatever. And Steve Saylor had a funny thread eviscerating her. I've got to ask, like, who the fuck cares about Kathy Young's opinions on immigration policy? Like, seriously, literally, who fucking cares? But she seems to think she's some kind of, like, really important person. I don't know.
I have a funny article for you guys.
Yeah, Kathy Young, it's her descent has been very sad, but I guess that kind of happened with a lot of Gamergate kind of stuff, where it was such a no-brainer issue that everyone and their sister was all unified, and then of course as you continue to follow these people, you know, eventually you realize like they say stuff that's stupid. That's why, like, people who I discovered early on in, like, my watching YouTube that I've continued to watch over the years and continued to kind of see transform through all of the different things, the ones who, like, don't piss me off ever, like, in light of all the different movements and things that have happened, like, by this time, to me, they're, like, very cherished. Like, Goodfella is one of the early ones I subscribed to, and, like, I've always, like, loved everything he has to say, pretty much. And, like, Bane666 has always been, like, a pure, amazing soul, and the Honey Badgers have always been, like, on point, and, like, yeah, like, pretty much, like, there's, like, a whole collection of ones that I found, like, in 2014, even some in 2013, that, you know, it's, like, 5 or 6 years later, and, you know, through all of Gamergate, through all of, like, Me Too, through all of the 2016 drama, through into Trump's presidency, like, it's been, like, they've...
I remember 2014 fondly when I was still a baby.
Good old 2014.
Yeah, but it's... Yeah.
Let's just go back to 2014.
But there was also this slightly heartbreaking story of Goodfellow when they took him to jail when he was supposed to watch his kid.
That's right, I had forgotten about that. That was some bullshit.
That was the first time I actually heard about him, and
yeah,
I've been
like
a fan ever
1.
since.
1.0.
Like that was so fucked up. He just made a insensitive comment about a gay pride parade, I think. And in what fucking world do we live where you can't make a fucking...
Like, gay pride parades are literally just an excuse for, like, gay guys, gay people to get drunk and get naked and, like, fucking just do stupid shit. Like, that's all it is.
Look, I know a few gay guys, and they all despise these parades. They say it makes us look bad. It makes people think
I don't want...
people are like that.
Yeah, and I don't want them bringing fucking kids to there because there's like 50 people there showing their penis and their vaginas and fucking tits.
That's so much degenerate shit. Like, I'm cool with you doing degenerate shit in the confines of some club or your home, but please not in front of children. Come on.
Yeah,
or don't bring your children to
I went to a gay pride. I guess it wasn't really a parade. It was just like an overall like festival, like you go to Pride is what they call it, right? And the one I went to, this was back in 2017. No. 2018 I went to the Minneapolis one. And it was pretty wholesome, I will say. I didn't see anything that was really explicit or really adult. It was really just a lot of like, people out and about, kind of like, they had like a little like beer garden. They had like, kind of like your average like fair food, like you get your hot dog or your burger or whatever. There's lots of different stands. Different organizations would have their little pamphlets kind of shilling in their own little tents. But it was a fun enough area just to kind of walk around, and it was very kid friendly and very wholesome, all things considered. So I will say that
I think that might even be the average. Like most gay prides, like in Germany and Switzerland, it's not that degenerate like the stuff you see on the internet.
yeah, like the stuff that makes it to
it's
the
kind
internet
of
and gets
normal.
viral is going to be the most shocking of it. But I mean, there is kind of a problem though that like there doesn't seem to be a very strong like culture of I guess kind of shutting that down or really drawing a clear line.
In Britain, pride parades seem to be attended by a lot of basically tedious bisexual women. I'm sure one of you guys can probably...
bisexual women. The straight women that go to gay bars and just like pretend to be gay, even though they're obviously not gay.
Well,
don't get me started on gay bars. It's so weird around here. Like male gay bars are the most wholesome place in the world. Everybody's invited, everybody's welcome. But if the lesbians have a gay event, they have people at the door saying, "You can't get in here. You have a penis."
Yeah, because they basically took over the fucking gay male scene, apparently. Oh, you were gonna say something, Spacepan?
I was just gonna say that the reason people go to gay bars, even if they're not a gay male, it's actually one of the main reasons that gay males go to gay bars, which is that the music's better. If you like pop music,
no,
right?
If you like
my
techno,
sister
pop music,
insist on taking me, and I really enjoy. Like, I didn't appreciate some handsy gay people trying to touch me, but they always understood after I told them I'm actually straight and I'm just here because I like the atmosphere. Like it was over just with one conversation. They were not very aggressive or anything. I really like that community, the male gay community. They are very wholesome in my opinion.
Yeah.
This is actually, Basil brought something up that actually ties into a conversation I had in the Discord last night, or I guess yesterday, depending on your time zone. We were mentioning about gay issues and like this normalization through like the drag queen story hour. And Basil's comment is I was mentioning to someone on FB that gays in America won't push back against the very public displays and pedo influences, and was told, F you, nobody in the LGBT community sexualizes children. So yeah, like, I would argue that a lot of this push, like, because we have this big umbrella of LGBT, it's sort of like, just for being gay, you're, like, accidentally a part of it. And like my perspective on it is that it's really not my responsibility, since I don't really support any of that. But at the same time, like, they're doing it like in my name, right? And that's kind of part of why I like being on this Gaytriarchy podcast, and I like having it because we are giving voice, to people who happen to be gay that are really not on board with this SJWism, and that's really where that all comes from. If you look at these drag queen story hours, it isn't just drag queens reading books to children. They're reading specific like propaganda, right? Very like social constructivist. Gender isn't real. All this kind of stuff. It's not appropriate to children at all. And like I really don't like that people are educating children with things that are kind of adult and not very appropriate for children, just because there's such a wealth of really great children's entertainment out there that children, it's not hard for them to be interested in things, right? There's no shortage of like really wonderful things that you can show to children without having to delve into things that are really only for adults. So when people do that kind of thing, you know it's just because they want to indoctrinate them. And really what it is it's SJWs kind of using gayness as their kind of a human shield in order to advance their agenda.
And it's also kind of counterintuitive, because if it was just like, I oppose the idea personally, but if it was just this drag queen reading Hansel and Gretel to the kids, that would be more positive. Like, this is just a normal person who happens to dress this way.
Right.
But when they read this propaganda, that's, yeah.
Now,
yeah, like there's
I will say that even with just having a drag queen reading anything, I still have an issue with it. But yeah, there's another level to it when it's the propaganda. But the issue is that drag queen culture it's a sexualized thing. It's an adult thing. And basically, it's appropriation. It's appropriation from this aspect of gay culture, of doing drag, and making it instead something that's like trans, which it's not. Like, drag queens aren't trannies.
No. Like, of course, like there's a distinction. Like, it's both starts with trans, like transvestite and transsexual, but you should actually honor that distinction. Like, it's a big difference between a transvestite. There has been a lot of heterosexual men who have been transvestites who have done cabaret.
Yeah, drag queens aren't even usually cross-dressers. They just usually do it as a stage performance, and then they usually wear male clothing afterwards.
Yeah, so this idea that, like, you need to wear that somewhere public in order to be just accepted, it's kind of like, well, if you're a clown and you're going to wear your clown outfit, like when you're riding the bus down to wherever your show is or whatever, like, yeah, you're going to get some funny looks. And I think that's just kind of a natural part of, like, if you're in a costume, which is essentially what drag is a costume, you're going to get funny looks when you're on your way to your performance. And that's kind of part of being a performer, is, like, there's going to be a period where, unless you're changing on set, then, like, you have that. But, yeah, like, I remember...
yeah, if it was, like...
When I was working, I had...
if it was, like, regular cross-dressing, I would be fine with it. Because, like, like, if... I'm fine with the idea of, like, getting the stupid, like, gender expectations of men, like, only having, like, these, like, very set and solid dress code rules, whilst women can really just wear whatever the fuck they want. I'm okay with getting rid of that. I think that men should be able to wear dresses even, honestly. As long as it obviously isn't, like, a sexualized drag fucking thing, like what drag queens wear, because that's a stage performance.
But that's different messages, like saying some men enjoy dressing up as women on certain occasions, and that's fine.
Right, like, and there's also, and what the difference is that it's not doesn't necessarily mean that you're trans. You just don't care about gender roles, and that, I think that's an important distinction.
Like, it originally had nothing to do with transsexuality. Like, many of the transvestites were gay, of course, but it was a stage performance thing. It was a... Like,
yeah, and
it's okay if you like to dress up like a girl, that's okay, but that doesn't mean that you have to take hormone blockers. Like, that should probably
or estrogen. Like, like, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a girl. You don't need titties.
Well, and that's actually what I was going to tie this into, is like this concern over children transitioning. If you have more of an acceptance of, I guess, unisex dress and an unisex expression of different ways to dress, then what ends up happening is, if you have, like, a little boy in a dress, rather than saying, oh, you really want to be a girl, it's, no, that's a boy's dress. That's he's a boy, that's his dress. He's a boy, he's wearing a dress, And it doesn't, and then it kind of shuts down this idea that he needs to transition, because instead of saying, oh, we're going to alter you to put you into the right box, it's saying, no, we're just going to make both the boxes bigger.
Yeah, that's my entire point.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But then I also wanted to talk about this issue of like there's a gay... I don't think it's gay people's obligation to call it out relative to straight people. I think it's everyone's obligation to call these things out. And it's mostly straight people who are promoting the LGBT, right? It's mostly straight people who are organizing these drag queen story hours. It's mostly straight people that are letting this happen.
It's straight
It's
people
straight
virtue
people bringing their
signaling.
children to it, right? It's not all gay parents bringing their children to it. So this idea that it's like the gays do it to other people, it's like, no, like the straight people are causing this to happen and are supporting it, right?
I've never had that impression that it was the gays. Like, I've always felt like these SJWs, they were like, I am the ambassador of this group.
No, it's obviously the Jewish conspiracy spacepan, where they're just sending demonic drag queens to corrupt our children and turn them into homosexuals. No,
Yeah,
it
like
can't
the
be. It
gays
can't be that straight
generally-
people are being dumb.
Yeah, the gays generally do a decent job of kind of going underground, you know, because like they want to be in spaces where it's like other adult males doing adult male things, right? So, but there's this
Yeah,
problem
but it's
of-
also historical. Like, they had to do this in times of actual hangings and prosecution of gay men. Like, that's the root of this whole, like, not the LGBTQ whatever movement. That was an actual movement that was international, of men having this private and very secret organization. Maybe they just tried to live their lives without getting killed or jailed for it. They had a lot to lose, and I think that's still kind of part of the culture, of the actual gay culture, that you just stay private, you know. And actually, there's
I
no
think
need
that
to broadcast
heterosexuality should also
homosexuality.
be private, right? Like I think that there should be a sense of that private nature to anything that's overtly sexual.
Exactly.
Right. And
Like,
I think that anybody kind of gets that that's a reasonable standard. And I think that even if you're more of a traditional, very conservative-minded person, the idea that you have gay couples that want to, as much as possible, emulate a very traditional, like family relationship with marriage and commitments and everything. I think that ultimately that's a very good thing, because the real crisis right now is mostly in the number of parents, not so much the kind.
Yes, of course. But there's also the other point, like when people say, why can't we make out and dry fuck and dry hump in public? Like, people are opposed to that with heterosexual couples already. Many people see a couple dry humping in the park and yell at them, don't you have a home?
Oh no, but first, that's a heteronormative mindset. You can't say that.
No, I'm wrong, of course.
I think
Like,
what it
yeah.
stems from is childism, honestly. I think that ultimately most of our societies aren't really based on caring about children except as means to ends. And I know that it's kind of an
Yeah, I
extreme way to
agree.
put it, but yeah, like I think that, you know, all of our laws and protections that we afford to women should basically be extended to children, except for, of course, like these adult rights of like voting and things like that. Although I kind of think that maybe having only children vote might be better. Like if we're gonna
I think
we're gonna have universal suffrage.
I think we should
by
just-
all
Might cause
vote.
chaos.
We should just take away the rights that women have been afforded under feminism. Just give them to children instead. Don't just like give it to don't just like share it with them. Just take it away from women and then give children.
Many of those rights, and at least in divorce courts and such, they're based on the well-being of the children. But in the end, they just go to the women. They give them the power to decide. And yeah, well, the only system that ever really made decisions for the children in favor of the children and it actually failed was communism. Because as long as one parent has to have the power over the children after a divorce, obviously you're gonna make some bad calls, and the rights we afford to women in the West are insane right now. No fault divorce. Like, why would you have to have the right to divorce someone without a reason?
I'll be right back. I need to use the restroom.
No, yeah,
Have
it makes
fun.
total sense. And of course, even barn, you could even have no fault divorce if you didn't have alimony and child support, and if you didn't have this whole process of there being no prenuptial, so you're going through and trying to divide everything in half. Like one thing, Dr. Tara Palmatier had mentioned at the IC Mind 2014 is she said prenuptial agreements should be mandatory and binding, and I
Yes,
wholly
because
agree.
they have been overturned in the past.
Exactly. That's why they need to be binding. And I think that that's a much better approach to it. And like I've seen a lot of Christians who kind of mimic this talking point of saying let's just make marriage all completely private and done by contract. They've made this argument after they couldn't have their cake and eat it too, right? It was after gay marriage got legalized that this became a popular talking point. So I really wonder. I wonder if maybe we're approaching the point where you can have a politician that says, you know what, like, yeah, we're going to end the welfare state. There's not going to be universal suffrage if you're not a net taxpayer. And we're going to make all marriage illegal because it's all going to be done by contract now. And we're not going to subsidize your bad decisions. No more alimony, no more child support, none of that, unless you specifically arrange for these things in a prenuptial contract. And we're going to assume that if you assert the rights of adults, you're going to have adult responsibilities. I'd love to see that common sense platform, but
yeah. But that's not going to happen soon.
Yeah, well, I guess, you can spread the word, I guess. Spread the word, see what happens, lay the seeds. Maybe let's take a few generations before that, and then we can transition into the libertarian minarchy. That or Andrew Yang
just
will just
thinking
bring
about
this... I said that
Sorry?
everything will collapse under the need bucks.
I'm just thinking about this one men's rights movement, the first one I ever heard about in Switzerland, that were fighting for law changes when it comes to divorce. I
have returned.
Yeah. Welcome back.
All right, Ashley, keep
And
it easy.
they-
See you later.
they
He has to hop. We should probably we're hitting the 2-hour mark, and that's usually how long we usually have these. So I guess we'll talk about this last article here. I don't know if Prince, I guess, is still laying down, but if you're around, if you want to.
Yeah, he's laying down.
You got one more article?
Should I get my Jimmy wake up sound guess? No, that's too bad.
It's really important to stay safe in the sun because the UV rays that come from the...
Shut up, lady. Okay, let me grab the thing, or put it out here. Doctor warns women against putting ice lollies into vaginas to cool them down.
I actually said that.
Oh my god. That was also real.
Though? I will say this doesn't seem that unreasonable to me. On a really hot day, I could maybe see the appeal of being like, you know what, I want to get cool quickly as possible. But there's all that sugar in there and stuff like that. You wouldn't want. Ooh, what are they gonna get ants in their? Are they gonna get ants in their pee pee? I hope not. Britain's frantically looking for ways to cool down during the heat wave. Yeah, right. Like it even gets hot in Britain. I don't believe that. While summer
it did this summer.
What? I don't believe it gets hot in Britain. I just don't. It's not. You're not in the South. It's not hot.
No, it's that's actually a pretty big thing that most of the media doesn't cover. The polar winds used to be a circle around the North Pole, and now it's 2 wind circles pulling hot air from the Atlantic over the North Pole and pulling it back, so it's like a U shape, like a much bigger, like a wave. So it draws this hot air up even to England. And they had record numbers this year. If you look at the heat maps of Europe for the summer, it was insane.
And this is because of global warming.
Well, it's because something changed in the wind system of the Earth. Like, we don't really know what caused it. Some people say it's human-made. Some people say it's just...
I like how they say ice lollies. Ice lollies. This call them fucking popsicles. Jesus.
Icicles.
So while some are rushing out to buy fans, others are putting their bedding in the freezer. But there's another heat-banishing hack you should never try. Doctors are warning ladies against putting ice lollies into their vaginas, which should go without saying, really. Dr. Sarah Welsh spoke to Metro about ice lollies and vaginal health. She warned women not to be tempted to put ice or any food items near their intimate areas. This is because you are introducing microbes into the body. Bacteria can lead to infections, irritations, and damage, while the sugar in the ice can affect the natural pH of the vagina. The health expert added, there are many things that should never go near a vagina, and ice lollies are up there. The ice can stick to the delicate skin of the vagina and cause real trauma and damage. What's more, putting any foodstuff into your vagina can introduce microbes, disrupting its normal balance and allowing an environment for bacteria to grow and infections to develop. We'd recommend keeping ice lollies in your mouth and trying other ways to cool down. Well,
Well, if they get infections, they might have considered a circumcision.
You know what, though? The ice is less obvious to me, but I guess that makes sense. There is some bacteria in ice. But I suppose, what if you, like, you have boiled water, and then you put that in a very clean ice tray and make your ice that way? And so you know that your ice is, like, very clean. Like, would that be acceptable? Is that...
They should have put that in the article. Just boil the water and freeze it and then insert it.
This is a lot of trend. There's all kinds of things they have to advise women not to do with their vaginas. Doctor warns women to stop steaming their vaginas as health fad soars.
What?
Vaginal steaming is a health fad that's become popular in recent years. The craze, which involves squatting above steaming water that's infused with detoxing herbs, is supposed to revitalize your intimate areas. But actually, there's no scientific proof that it majorly benefits the body. In fact, the practice can actually do more harm than good. Daily Star Online spoke to a gynecologist to get the lowdown on the quirky treatment. Gwyneth Paltrow is among the celebrities to talk about vaginal steaming. This has led to the everyday woman trying the trend, which is worrying given that it can damage your health. Dr. Shuri Datta, consultant gynecologist at My Healthcare Clinic, spoke to Daily Star Online about the intimate craze. The expert revealed that steaming your vagina isn't more effective for cleaning it than bathing is. She said vaginal steaming has recently become popular, but there's no evidence to say it's any better than soaking in a warm bath. Vaginal steaming could affect the natural pH of the vagina, leading to infections or irritation. Dr. Shri said, just remember your vagina is designed to have a healthy balance of bacteria, and this might change with internal douching or cleansing. If the risk of a nasty infection doesn't put you off of vaginal steaming, the fear of getting burnt may be enough. Putting your intimate areas near to boiling water can lead to them getting scalded. Dr. Shri added, if the temperature is too high, it may be
that should be fucking obvious.
Right. Ladies who want to keep their intimate areas fresh are advised to take a different approach. The NHS advises women to clean with unscented soaps. It explains it's a good idea to avoid perfumed soaps, gels, and antiseptics, as these can affect the healthy balance of bacteria and pH levels in the vagina and cause irritation. Use plain, unperfumed soaps to wash the area around the vagina gently every day. The website adds that in most instances, the orifice is self-cleaning anyway. It states the vagina will clean itself inside your body with natural vaginal secretions. All right. Yeah, so the vaginal sneezes. That's the way to do it.
Yep.
It's just so fucked up because, like, when I had dental work done, they gave me this antibacterial mouthwash, and it caused some fungus to grow on my tongue because I killed the natural bacteria that grow on your tongue, so the fungus had a chance to grow.
That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, they said it will go away, and it did. Just after I stopped using the mouthwash, and I was like, yeah, that's actually kind of logical because a lot of our biomass is actual bacteria that exists in a parasitic relation with our body, and it protects us from other stuff. So you should probably keep the body doing what it's doing and not interfere too much.
Warlord Basil says, so women have to be told not to use their junk in a non-tarted fashion. Sounds reasonable for any given an adult to be told things like this. I mean, yeah, it is kind of childish if you think about it. It kind of reminds me of like fucking like kids like putting crayons up their buttholes or some crazy shit because they're kids, or like, I don't know. or eating their boogers.
Crayons up the butthole?
Yeah, kids will do that. They'll also try and pick their butt because they're kids and they're disgusting. So
I don't want kids anymore. Thank you for cleaning it up.
yeah, you're welcome.
You also say this hurts stories about men and power tools, so maybe women aren't alone in this kind of goofy shit, which, that's fair enough. Fair enough.
And there's stories about men putting batteries in their penis. I don't really know why.
Goodness.
Keep mold
How does that even work?
box. I think that calms it. I think that summarizes it pretty well. All right. Well, I think for this stream we've been on a bit of an incredible journey. We've talked about politics and shootings and vaginal issues.
Yeah.
And I found that clip of Aaron Phillips on the catwalk or the cat roll, and it was.
I feel like Lacey Green now. I feel like Lacey Green, like I know a lot about.
We've given more useful sex advice than she's ever given in just the last 15 minutes of this podcast here. Women who wreck their vaginas by putting weird stuff in should get reparations. I 1000% agree. Reparations for everyone. All right, so do you guys want to? I think we should probably close it down now. Oh, one thing is, I think Prince of Queens was gonna maybe shill. He mentioned that he wanted to do a fundraiser. I think just to get funds for hopefully the trip to ICMI. I think he should be able to go regardless, but of course, things are rough on YouTube. So since he's a YouTuber,
please do, Prince.
For him if you. I suppose if you feel like donating to me, I'd say go ahead and pay it forward to Prince of Queens. And the best way to do it is through his PayPal. And it looks like he's probably still laying down. So
yeah,
shit happens.
All right. Do you guys have any closing thoughts?
No, not really. It was good to being on the Gaytriarchy at last, but even if it's a sort of wonky.
Yeah, this was kind of a silly episode. This was a fun one, but I actually haven't been able to be on Gaytriarchy the last couple of times because it was at an unusual time, and yeah, which was a little bit too bad. Those were actually the only two that I ever wasn't there for. But
the only thing I could say is, I think 5 years in the future we will need a stronger word than clown world.
I hope not. I hope it gets better.
Yeah, I hope, but I think not.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Cheers to that.
All right, everybody. Keep it easy. Thanks for coming by, and everybody have a nice day.